Hello everyone. Today I will take more closer to the author Shimana Ngozi. It is one of the famous novel, Hal of the Yellow Sun. It is from Nigeria during the 1960s. The history follows his special life, personal life, shaped by love, loyalty, and survival in that age. The backdrop of the Bain Farm War, that is the name of the war in that part. More than just a historical perspective or historical novel, it is powerful explanation of identity, memory, and the human problems in that age that involve discrimination, economic problems, or sometimes like that. The novel follows the interpersonal life of the several main character that can how they solve the situation in that part, and romantic scenes or romantic history in the character, or how they can follow their own goals but in the situation of war. During 1960, as I said before, from the pre-war period to the outbreak and development of the Nigeria Civil War, so they in that they call that war as a Front War, and also they talk about the human and social problems in that part of the history, in many part of the history. Now, the most important things it is the character. As we know, since without them, it is impossible to create a good history. In that history, we have five main characters, but there are many. There are a lot of characters, but the principal there are uh, Agubo. It is the rural boy becomes stronger on the path of the history. Olena, that is the female character, the principal female character, that is education woman from healthy family. Um, Odigovo is it is a professor, but with he is pay attention in the social radical events in that age, and also Alena partner. Kanayan is Olena's twin sister that involve many social problems and with their own life in romantic perspective. In that part is Richard, Britain's intelligence linked by Catherine in romantic way. That function of the character have different. Each character give us a different social perspective of the history, show of the war impact on different stage of their life, how they solve the situation, and how can improve the situation in the future, because Olena and Onigovo had a child, and they show us how they can create how that child born in that
One of the
situation.
main themes in House of a Yellow Sun is war and its human cost. The novel shows how the Nigerian Civil War, the Biafran War, destroys life, families, and dreams. For instance, Olana and Odenigbo go from living a comfortable life to struggling in refugee camps, while also experiencing hunger and fear. In addition, through Ukwu, who is forced to become a soldier, the story reveals how even ordinary people, common people, can be pushed into violence. Another important theme is the colonial legacy and national identity. The novel suggests that colonialism left Nigeria divided by ethnic and political conflict. The tensions between the Igbo, Harusa, and Yoruba groups reflect how British rules created deep divisions. Furthermore, Richard, who was a British writer, who sympathizes with Biafra, this shows the relationship of those people between their people and the foreign influence. The novel also deals with class and social inequality. In the beginning, Ugbo is only a houseboy while Olana comes from a wealthy family. Their different backgrounds they show the gap between the poor and the privileged. However, as the war advances, social barriers begin to break down because everyone suffers by equal. It means everyone were having hunger and fear. Finally, the story also explores love, betrayal, and resilience. Relationships in the novel are tested by infidelity and war. For example, when Other Nigbo betrays Olana, which almost destroy this infidelity, this betrayal almost destroy their relationship. The next topic is about the plot and the narrative structures that are present in the novel. The narrative structure of the novel is not linear. Instead, Adichie moves back and forth between the early 1960s before the war and the late 1960s during the war. This style creates suspense and also reflects the confusion and fragmentation of war. At the beginning, the story focuses on the early 1960s. During this time, we meet the main characters, Olana, Odenigbo, Ugbu, and Richard, while they live in a more peaceful Nigeria. Their relationships, intellectual conversations, and daily activities built the foundation for the tragedy that came after that. In the beginning, their life was showing as something ideal. It was peaceful. Later, the plot shifts to the late 1980s, 1960s, when the war begins. In this part of the novel, it presents images of displacement, hunger, and violence. For example, Olana is deeply traumatized after witnessing the massacre of her relative. Likewise, Ukbo, who becomes a soldier, experiences how war can turn innocent people into participants in cruelty. In the end, the novel returns to the aftermath of the war. This circular structure leaves the reader with a sense of incompleteness, which reflects the unfinished dream of Biafra. Therefore, the title itself, Half of a Yellow Sun, symbolizes hope, identity, and a future that never fully came.
Half of a Yellow Sun shows that war is not only experienced through battles and numbers, but also within the intimacy of human relationship and everyday life. Through a non-linear structure and a multi-perspective narration, and Adichie captured the tension between hope and loss, and as well as the transformation of individual and collective identities in a nation marked by inequality and ethnicity and nationalism. The novel's strength lies in its ability to humanize history, and its characters provide a different view of Nigerian society. And together they reveal or create the complexity of a conflict that fracture the collective dreams. And beyond its Nigerian context, the novel invites us to reflection on memory, resilience, and the human cost of war. And also establishing itself as about a key work of post-colonial literature and the universal exploration of human experience in the face of violence. The name of the horror of that novel is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and she is a Nigerian writer and is one of the most influential voices in contemporary literature. She grew up in Suka and studied in the University of United States and has received numerous international awards. Some important works and include of her includes the Purple Hibiscus in 2003, House of a Yellow Sun in 2006, and The Thing Around Your Neck in 2009. Her style combines social engagement with aesthetic sensibility, addressing topics such as post-colonialism, gender, migration, and identity. And she is also globally recognized for her essay on TED, Thought We Should Be Feminist, 2012, which establishing her as a cultural and feminist reference beyond the literary field.